Dr. Reverend. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm to spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. Yes. Well, in case, oh hello, and thank you. I have that memorized because I have recited that affirmation that Charles Fillmore wrote when he was 94, there is still hope, since I can remember when. And to prove that to you, so you don't think that I was just doing that because I'm a guest at a Unity church, I have had this, I'm also an acrylic freak, I have had this with Charles and Myrtle, with that wonderful affirmation. I have had this for years. It is an affirmation that I take to heart because, and the reason why I chose my topic title is Summer Sizzle, because if I fairly sizzle, and I thought it's summer, and you talked about yellow in our Celtic song, and Heidi created yellow handouts for us, and I'm wearing yellow because it is the summer, it is the sun, and oh yes, okay, I am a Leo. For those of you who follow astrology, I don't know. So, in some ways, the opportunity to be here speaking in a Unity church, thank you, Reverend Brendalyn, I hope you're having a great time, scritch the dogs, feels really appropriate. And as I was preparing and revisiting all my Fillmore-esqueness, I thought, you know, in some ways I'm more a Unity junkie because of that enthusiasm. As whereas the 20-plus years in Science of Mind, I love you, Uncle Ernest Holmes, can be very heady. And for me, they were asking me, well, what kind of mic do you want to wear today? And I went, I am animated. I can't stand up very well at a podium and stay still. So I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm, and I've got all these things to say which I may or may not say, because I get so excited about God. I breathe in God. I look around and I see God in all of the faces, and some of them are very familiar, friendly faces. Some are new to me, so good to meet you. And thank you again for having me here, and the staff that's been so supportive. So I want to talk about summer. We think about summer, and we think about vacation, and I think about sunscreen because it's summer, and being fair, and Celtic, Irish, you know, I burn, so I think about sunscreen, and I started thinking about, well, what we need is a different sunscreen, an additional sunscreen. In addition to the what we wear, cosmetically, if you will, because we're also at a high altitude, I believe we need a different sunscreen. I believe that if we began to think of our prayer practice as an added sunscreen, so that we do not walk out of the house without slathering ourselves with spirit, so that we go outside and we have that wonderful white shield of consciousness wherever we go and with whomever we meet and interact. That is a different sunscreen. So that when we sizzle, it's from the inside out, not the outside in. That we have the opportunity to shine like the sun, as the sun, to all we meet, radiating that Christ presence, the activity of God in everything that we do. So I was thinking about that. And I thought, I want all of us, I'm inviting all of us, I don't know all of you, I'm inviting you to consider the idea of turning on that summer sizzle to being the best you that you know how to be. And whatever spiritual practice you find yourself drawn to, and it may have changed over the years. You may have been a Buddhist, you may have been a Catholic, you may have been a religious scientist or a Unitarian. What I do know is that you are one with God, whatever title might follow that. And I was watching all the vision and the values and the songs, and within it was that enthusiasm that the Fillmores talked about. Was that sizzling with God, with Spirit, to bring forth your best self. So, the next question is, okay, I got my sunscreen, Duchess, I am in that white light of infinite truth as I go out into the world around me. What else can I do? I want to manifest and demonstrate things in my life. So, being, raised mostly in science of mind, there is that word science in there, science of mind. And for those of you who are new or don't know about science of mind, it originally was called science of mind and spirit. Don't know why they dropped it. I really wish they would embrace it back, because I believe it has to be both. It's like the left and the right brain. You have to have both sides. The scientific, because we are mental beings, and the spiritual, because we are one with God. We are the beloved made manifest. So I'm thinking, well, what else would we do scientifically? So I put that in my prayer hopper. I was like, well, what do we want to talk about? And then, oh, am I talking too fast? You guys don't know me. You know what? We're not on camera. I don't have to be tall. Excuse me. I'm be a little more grounded. Oh, you? You just find out that I'm tall and God, but I need the heat. So this week, after teaching, I'm teaching a book study class on the untethered soul. And we're doing some really deep work. And one of the things that came up was the unrest that's going on in the world around us, which it's hard to not pay attention to that. And so I landed upon a TED Talk by a Scottish gentleman, an author and an empiricist by his title, named, let me get his name correctly, George Monbiot. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. Anyway, this was a wonderful TED Talk about how he feels that we have to write a new political story. Take a breath, I'm not going into politics. I listened because I needed to hear that. And he talked about how we all need a restoration story. And particularly his angle was in politics to bring harmony back to the land. That we have been doing these stories since the Bible, chaos, destruction, and all this evil stuff. And then imagination comes in, someone brings forth the light, restoration, and we move on. And then it has happened over and over again. And we find ourselves there again now. So his concept is that if we do not have the imagination and the willingness to write a new story, we move into despair. We move into hopelessness, victimhood. And so I was listening to that, and this is all great, and wow, let's take that personally. He's talking internationally and globally, and particularly nationally, and I thought, well, if any of us are in a state of despair, for whatever reason, that we need to write a new story. We need to look at the story that is being projected onto the screen of our lives, because that tells us what we're thinking and doing, what we believe. And then we need to rewrite the story. Perhaps even recast the story. Fire that other director, hire someone new, get a new writer, and start over with the story. Well, that's easily said than done. So then, here's the science part. How many of you are familiar with reticular activation system? I have one nodding person. RAS. That's the abbreviation. And you may search engine your way there. Notice I didn't give a plug. Search engine your way to reticular activation system. Okay, fancy science name. It's really about all of the nerve endings, and it does something in the cerebral cortex and the cerebellum, blah, blah, blah. I go to the punchline. What it does is starts to filter things within your system, your thinking system, so that you're rewiring yourself to do the things you want to do, to rewrite the story. The reticular RAS works, for example, you know what it's like when you learn a new word for the first time, and then suddenly, everywhere you go, you see the word. Someone else will say it to you for the first time, or you see it on a billboard. That's part of the reticular activation system that you get to engineer to work in your favor, so that you can release old beliefs, old stories, old things that are standing in the way of you writing, creating, living, and sizzling your best. A reticular activation system is basically also a scientific proof of the law of attraction. Now, I know you've all heard one level or another about the law of attraction. Yes? Most of you guys are awfully quiet. Okay. The law of attraction, what we think, what we believe, manifests out here in an energetic and shows up in the story of our life. So if we can reverse engineer and use this RAS system to create pictures, ideas, beliefs, even characters in your story, they're going to support the story that you want to write. How many of you want to write a new story? Okay. Personally, nationally, family? Yes. And even if right now you were one of the blessed ones that have a really cool golden story going on, yay, write another one. We need more stories. We need those stories that are going to uplift. I saw on your values or that prayer something about healing the planet, yes? Well, from my training and teaching, we don't heal the planet until we heal ourselves. We have to be the living model of what we want to see in the world around us. So, if you are that kind of passion, I really want to heal the planet, I want to see all these things take place, I want peace in the land and everyone fed and homed and safe and sound and treated with respect, well, gosh darn it, you've got to start with me. Me. And sometimes it feels easier to do it for out there. Because we're used to projecting out there. We're used to doing for others. Many of us were taught, depending upon your generation, we were taught that you need to do it for someone else first. If you do it for yourself, that's arrogant or narcissistic, or you have to do it for others. Well, it's both. And in order to do it better for the others, because I'm not talking about a self-centered life here. I'm not talking about, well, you fix all that, my story, and I'm the director, writer, the star of my story, and you're all the little people. No. We are meant to serve. But I serve better when I'm whole. When I am in my place of strength and power and compassion and joy. When I'm there, I can serve better. So if we can use this scientific approach, coupled with our spiritual practices, we are golden. We can sizzle. We will walk into rooms and people will feel the energy and not necessarily know what to do with us. Well, that's a whole other level. Why is that coming up now? I don't know, but we'll go for it. How many of you have had it that you've changed your story, or you felt that shift, or Mercury went direct, or whatever it is, and you suddenly started working in the world, and everything was just like, going happy, and you're feeling good, and it's coming organically. You don't have to say your mantra affirmation 72 times before you walk out the door. And then you get some vibration from a friend, a family member, someone even who loves you, a neighbor, who do you think you are? What gives you the right to be so happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise? Huh? Have you read the news today? And then they start with their story, and that's usually a story, one of those stories. And suddenly, I don't know about you, but I have, suddenly I start to deflate, and I start to adjust, kind of chameleon-like. I start to adjust to the vibration I'm getting from them, because I'm thinking one of two things. Oh, well, I don't want to make them feel bad because I'm really happy. Or I think that that's what I'm supposed to do. If I'm working with someone, or I see someone, I don't want to be, well, sorry, you're hurting, but I'm really good. And so it short-circuits the reticular activation system and my inner self. And it says, well, don't you want to feel better? Don't you want to have a happy, healthy life? What's all that? And I know what that is. Okay, I just wondered, could I see what it is? I'm just curious.
This is the words that the Duchess Dale.
Oh, great. Thank you. I thought maybe I'd use it now.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I am free. I'm unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I'm free. Yes. Well, thank you. So when and if you are faced with that situation, you've worked long and hard to get yourself pumped up to a place of wholeness, well-being, manifestation, where you feel good, maybe you want to go back to that particular activation system and surround yourself with white light. Why not? That was what, I remember when I first, really young, dabbling in metaphysics, someone said, surround yourself in white light, surround others in white light. Okay, why not? And then I went through a phase where that sounds really, new thought, new age, kumbaya, I wasn't sure about that. Now I'm thinking, okay, if I have a white light, it doesn't mean that I am putting up a barrier between you and me. What it means is I have my light within my consciousness. It is mine, and it is Teflon to you. You will bounce off of it, or you will magnify it and join me in that light. So the reticular, oh gosh, that's written. Say reticular activation system 10 times in a row. The RAS can be used to filter out the negativity, whether it's on social media or it's your neighbor or best friend that starts to spout off all the negativity that's going on. Your charge as a spiritual being on this planet is to be healthy and whole. It really is. That's it. I read that good book. And Jesus the Christ talks about it all the time. And we often say, well, that's true and that's good. Thank you so much. But you haven't read today's newspapers. You're not living in today's society. Yes, I am. He is. You are. We are. Because we're one. And it's just a little too easy to be able to dismiss the people, places, and things that are rocking our cages. And I think there are a few things in the external world that do that. So it is up to me, you're welcome to join me if you want, it is up to me to fortify myself spiritually, to put on my spiritual sunscreen, that's what it's kind of like a light, to put on that spiritual sunscreen so that I may fairly see, the zeal. See, who in the world uses the word zeal anymore? Bless you, Fillmore. But Fillmore's new. Because it is a zeal. Let's bring back that word. We can make that happen again, particularly because it could go viral. The idea of zeal. To have that passion and purpose about your life. And by having it about your life, you have it for the planet. I get to do that. I know I had some quote. Where am I? Oh, okay. It's summer. We're talking about that, all this. Have you noticed that people have a different frame of mind when they're on vacation?
Yeah.
They have a different frame of mind when it's their birthday week, right? I can eat cake, it's my birthday. Oh, I can sleep in, I'm on vacation. I can do this because I have this giant permission slip from the universe saying, you are on vacation, you may enjoy yourself. Why are we waiting for vacation? I want you to crank up that summer sizzle and think about it so that when you are offered or invited to enjoy something, an extra piece of cake or even the first piece of cake, or you're invited to sleep in, or maybe do something fun before you do the list of things, I want you to have a vacation state of mind. Vacay is the word. I want you to consider that concept of being on vacation where you give yourself permission to have fun. We used to have permission as kids. Then we kind of went through that growing up process and we learned we had to be adults. We had to pay attention to the real world. Frankly, I have learned, having gone through that, that the real world is inside. And my real world is magical. My real world is playful. My real world is joyous and loving and fun and abundant and radiates the heart of God. And then sometimes I step out from behind that and it's like, okay, well, what time is it? And what do I have to do? Email, I have to do, and I get into something I don't recognize. And then I look around and there are a whole bunch of you that I don't recognize because you look exactly like me, kind of automaton in the world around us. So I am inviting you this summer, this, lazier summer, to think sabbatical, to think vacation, to think birthday, or even Christmas holidays. We even spend more when it's a birthday or holiday, right? Well, it's Christmas, I can go ahead and spend a little more. Well, Why are there's those filters? Use the RAS as a filter system to create a new level of abundance and prosperity in your thinking so that it outpictures in your life. And you know what? It may not outpicture with extra zeros and stuff in the bank account, but I guarantee you, you will be rich. All needs met. God is source and supply for everything, everything. The joy, the money, the health, the friendships, the work, the purpose, the passion, the zeal. You tap into your inner zeal. Oh, yes, an inner zeal. Okay. See, you guys aren't used to me. I'm sorry. There's popcorn. There's always a party in here, and lots of cartoon bubbles going on, and my charge is to filter those cartoon bubbles to be able to say something cogent that you will walk away with. Something that will resonate to that core of your being, your soul, your fire, your zeal, your sizzle. To use everything that you learn, whether it's in this church, whether it's on YouTube or a TED Talk, and I highly recommend TED Talks. 15 minutes of brilliance and inspiration. Whether it's from your own spiritual practice, whether it's from music that stirs the soul. Carol was saying, that beautiful music, it vibrates, it resonates. And that's why there are those chants and hymns that ancestors do, because it is vibrating all the cells, organs, and fiber of your being to that infinite universal core of truth. To the one universe, unique verse. One, unique, you and I, verse, a verse of a song. The Word of God, the universe that we share as one. I'll go back to writing a story because I want you to consider that, especially if it is summer for you. Some people may be retired and have time. Others are working. Some are juggling all kinds of things. But summer does have a certain little, like, woe begone quality. Oh. Let's use this time in the summer to think about writing a story. Think about, sit in your spiritual practice after you do your prayers. Sit in your spiritual practice and envision, visualize. The law of attraction uses that energy and that to create. So you want to start to visualize what is it you want. And the secret is, it doesn't always have to be a thing. Move to a place of visualizing and literally feeling, viscerally feeling, the energetic that may match the thing. You're wanting a red convertible. How do you feel by driving that red convertible? You feel prosperous, you feel abundant, you feel sexy, whatever it is for you. You have a perfect new job. You don't have to necessarily visualize, well, I have this cubicle, my iMac's over here, the window's over here, blah, blah, blah. But how do you feel in that environment with your coworkers? Are you passionate and on purpose and creating? So this summer, sit in your spiritual practice, envision using your reticular activation system as well as that wonderful creative thing called imagination, to viscerally connect the zeal and sizzle within you and start to write a new story. Let's write a new story. Let's go into meditation. A little bit of a guided meditation, and we'll start writing a story. There's only one presence, one power, active as the universe and as my life. God is good. And I breathe in, and I allow myself to center. And take a breath from the depth of your soul. Feel down in the red roots of that chakra into Mother Nature. And then as the breath starts to come up, we visit those chakra centers very briefly, gently, up through orange, the creativity, co-creation. And the yellow, that power, the sizzle, the zeal color. Moving up to the green, the Celtic green. The middle chakra, moving up to the blue around communication so that honeyed words come from your mouth. Blue communication, moving up to purple, that lavender, that beautiful color. The third eye, so that honeyed words go in. Inspiration goes both in that area as well as expresses out. It's a two-way street. And then move up to the top, the crown chakra, that gorgeous white. And then envision, if you will, like a shower, and let it, the white love, just sprinkle itself down and around you. Sparkling, opalescent, pure, clear. You feel that vibration of joy and love and wholeness. Let's sit there for a moment in the silence. Begin to resonate with that tone in the room. Let your organs, the atoms, the molecules of your body begin to vibrate in harmony and rhythm. Now you are invincible. You have the spiritual sunscreen around you, just sparkling and glittering with infinite truth. Then invite your higher self to begin to gently reveal to you ideas for the new story. You don't have to write all of it right now. Maybe there's a certain person, place, or thing that would be in your new story. Maybe it's feeling differently within your body type. A lack of pain or energy. Harmony. Feel that now. What might that feel like? Know that while you're in this vortex of light, while you are standing in that crown chakra shower of spirit, any of those wonderful ideas that you start to come up with that makes you feel giggly, the smile comes to your face, or you feel the warmth, know that those are there for you. Those are touchstones you can return to in your own personal spiritual practice. And while you're in there and you're communing with your higher self and you're feeling your roots into Mother Nature, into the world, into the earth, to Gaia, make note of anything that you want to return to. Write it on the walls of the cave of your mind like hieroglyphics, bullet points, joy, freedom, love. And while in this sacred space, I will speak into the world, into your ears, that those things that you envision are yours, and there is no one, no thing outside of that that can take that away from you. Doesn't matter how hard it's been, doesn't matter what the news headline says. This is your world. And we are engaging both the spiritual side and the mental side, that RAS, to co-write with you as co-creator with God your story. Not the one you inherited, not the one you've been living out. Your story. Right here, right now. So seal all that up. Take a deep breath in. Wrap all that you've envisioned or felt or heard, and I want you literally to take that and place it over your heart right now, hands over your heart. Breathe that in. And know that you are willing